Hi everyone, in this video we're looking at displaying the data in graphs. So you're going to construct graphical representations, in particular column graphs and dot plots. We're going to be looking at what type of data we have and then like the appropriate graphical representation and making sure that you use the right convention, so just the correct way of setting up a graph. So remember, we've got our data, different types of data, quantitative, qualitative, and making sure that you recognize the difference between nominal, ordinal, discrete, and continuous. So let's get into it. So here we go. If we're looking at a column graph, it's going to be used with these three here. And the reason why is because always the y-axis is your frequency, or your count. So if we were doing, decided that it doesn't want to draw. If we're doing name, so say like model of car, it'll be model of cars, and there'll be different ones: Toyota, Ford, that'll be make, like Corolla, Camry, Prius, Land Cruiser, trying to think of other Toyotas, Prado. And then you would have the count, so number of cars either surveyed or seen, and then you would have each one of these as their own column. So that is what we're looking at there. Ordinal, it might be like the number of gold, silver, and bronze medals, and that's the number or the count. It's like the Australian team, and there'll be gold, silver, and bronze. And discrete, again, it'll be things like your age. So the age of people in a group, 1, 2, 5, 4, 6, or whatever it is. And again, the frequency is here. It does not belong to continuous, because continuous is something that you measure, not count. Okay. Your options, and then it's an even gap between the columns. So a column graph, if you haven't worked it out yet, is columns, and the reason why it's called that is because the columns go up and down. There is a bar graph, same concept. So the bars go here. The categories would be here, and this would be your frequency down here. I personally am not really a fan of these. Just leave it there. I will probably encourage you to do a column graph more before I get you to do a bar graph. Okay, you also need to make sure that there's gaps. There's a different type of graph that looks very similar, and it's called a histogram. Don't need to learn about that now, but just be aware of that. And if you join the columns together, you are making a histogram, and we're not doing that. Okay, titles and legends. So I'll talk more about that in a moment. So here is our student's situation. Beth has surveyed her class to find out their preference for school uniform. This is her result. So she's put it in a table. That helps. Would have tallied it up, asked everyone the question, and then collected up that. So kind of like what we've done in class. Now we know that the net count is 29. So when we add up all our columns, they should go up to 29. The first thing we need to remember is that on our y-axis is our frequency. So what I'm going to do is number of responses. So hopefully I can do this way. I don't know if I can. Yep. Number of responses. If you're ever in doubt, you can just put frequency. But try and put the title in relation to your context of the question that you've been given. Now I've got white shirt, black trousers. So normally you would write this out in full, but it's quite challenging for me to write that way. So I am going to call this WSBB, as in bottoms, blue SBB, blue S navy bottoms, and white S navy bottoms. So that's going to be my codes here, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm going to make the columns. There are certain conventions, but I'm just going to make this a little bit easier for myself by 3, 4, keeping them all the same. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I've just set up some guidelines here. This is going to be WSBB, BSBB, BSNB, and WSNB. My count goes up to 12, so I'm just going to use these little grids. Excuse that that's not sitting exactly on the line, that's bothering me, but I cannot fix that no matter how much I tried. There's 0. I'm going to go 1, 2, 4, 6. You'll see that I'm still counting all my lines, but you can pick a scale that suits you, and whatever you pick, make sure that it is consistent. So I don't want to see 10 and then 11 and then 12. It needs to be 11, like consistent the whole way, 12. So I could have spread that out more, but I'm not going to because that's just a bit tricky. So what I do now is I'm going to make sure that I have perfect. Oh, I don't like the fact that it's bounced you out. Okay, so maximum number is 12. I'm going to use my ruler. Hopefully this works. With a straight line, and I'm going to put it in red just so it's a bit easier. So the first one is 8. So here it is. So measuring up with 8 and coming down. Oh, wait there, Control Z. A straight line. Oh, that's much better. Okay, Control, and because I use my grid lines, beautiful. Do another one of those. Doesn't like that. And one across. So there's my 8. And then I'm going to do one for 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Across there. I don't think it's quite straight, but you get the drift. Obviously, you guys would have a much easier time doing this on graph paper or in your books. 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's 4, so it has to be 5 there. Righto. So I've just paused so I can draw those in because that's not exactly thralling lesson learning. So you can see that I've drawn them in using my straight line. I'm going to also, before I finish off, make sure that I've labeled my axes. So this is the type of uniform. You can just take that straight from your table or the context that you have there. So type of uniform. And don't forget a title. So she's got her class student's preference for school uniform. So class preference for student uniform. And that would be your table there. What you're going to do now is you've got 2 things here. So another one of Beth's surveys. Maybe Beth is just a statistician and she likes to collect data, or a survey research analyst. Those questions come from this textbook. So there's question 1, so you can pause that. And question 3 is here, so you can pause that and complete that column graph. It says construct a bar graph, and if you refer back to your book again, it's going to look like this with frequency on your X and your categories. So in this case, it would be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the counts would be this way. But I'm more than happy for you to do a column graph on that one. All right, pause the video, finish those questions, and we'll get back into the next one. So here we go, constructing a dot plot. It's only for discrete data because you're counting something. There is no y-axis, but the x-axis has the categories, not so much the categories, but the count. And there's a gap between dots and a title and a legend, just to make sure that we know what each dot represents. So in this case here, I've got a 2-week period, packet of potato chips, sold in a vending machine each day. So this is like the sale per day. Were recorded, and then draw a dot plot for this graph. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that I've got a scale here. So I'm going to start with 0, 1, 2, 4. So what I've done is I've had a look at my numbers and I can see that I go up to 18. That's my largest number or my maximum. And so I've just done my scale up to 20 using my little grid squares. So when we do our dot plot, each dot that we put on this graph represents one of these numbers here. So I'm just going to use a different color just so you can see them. I go 10, so I would just put a dot above that. I'm not going to draw it on the line. It goes above. 8, 12, 11, which is in between, 12. Notice how they're evenly spaced out, even though they're not perfect in terms of drawing wise. I guess if you had a pen, it'd be a lot easier. Sometimes a bit tricky with the stylus. 13, 11. So now you can see that I'm stacking them up as we get more. 12. So I've just got to note where I've been, otherwise I'm going to double count. 12. So that's 11, and then this is the next 12. Another 12. 13. 14. Okay, so 1, 2, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 makes sense because it's a 2-week period. That's 14 days. Okay, so now I've got my dot plot. Now it's not probably the biggest one here. And what you will see is that it says comment on the distribution. If we have a look here, our distribution goes up and then it comes down. So this is what we call a normal curve. And you would write a comment which would be most sales between 11 to 13 packets per day. And then you would say with most, the difference between the smallest and the largest being of 10 different packets. Okay, so that's you go. What I'd like you to do is pause. Oh, sorry. You need a scale and a title. So, my bad. So, vending machine. Sorry, I'm looking at the time. The video is getting pretty long. And 1 dot equals packs sold. Because sometimes you can see it as like a pictogram and there'll be like a person and that equals like 5 people. And then if you had like a half person, that would equal 2.5 people. Like obviously it wouldn't happen that way, but you get the point. Like there might be 4 people and then like 2. So just having a scale there tells you like what's going on in terms of the dots value. All right, pause the video, have a go of those 2 series and you'll be doing more in class. All right, don't forget to stay awesome. Thanks. Bye.